Hello my friends and welcome back to the channel. I'm making this today just to let you know that I'm going to be taking a break from social media altogether for a bit, as I've been really struggling lately with my mental health. And the reason I'm making this video today is to share with you a bit about my mental health that I've not shared before, not because I'm ashamed, but because it's never really been relevant up until this point, in the hope that it helps one or two of you out there, and also to let you know, those of you out there who are struggling with any form of mental health condition at the moment, to let you know that you're not alone, that there is help, and that, as Maya Angelou says beautifully, every storm runs out of rain and it will pass. And I'm going to share with you in this video how I sort of manage my mental health, if you like, on a day-to-day basis. What I'm going to do over this short period now to help myself, in the hope that it helps you really, and to let you know that, as I say, you're not on your own. Before any of that, if you want me to continue these when I come back from this, I really am going to need your help. It's as simple as that. If you take 2 minutes just to click on the link in the description, have a quick read, see if you can help. I understand that it's very difficult at the moment. Some of you will, some of you won't. But just take a read anyway, and if these videos or my videos and my sharing of myself will help you or has helped you in any way, then please support the channel if you can. It will really mean the world to me. And to those of you who've already done that, thank you so much. So my mental health, let me just share a bit about the background of it, because it's something I've lived with all my life, but I've not gone into great detail in here with. And I'm not blaming my addictions on my mental health conditions. It's not an excuse for my addictions, although I will say that I used substances, particularly alcohol and opiates, when I was going through certain periods of poor mental health, to self-medicate those and to hide away from the dark emotions, dark feelings, fear, and all of these things, you know, to anaesthetize them. There was that. I mean, as long as I can remember, I was diagnosed in my 30s finally, but it was going on long before that, these episodes. And I remember not knowing, it was before sort of bipolar depression wasn't really mentioned so much in those days. It was manic depression was mentioned. I don't really like putting labels on mental health, but people knew sort of, but they didn't really understand what it was all about. You see, I had, from as long as I can remember, and there are a couple of things. I had a really bad childhood. But again, I'm not blaming any of this on the condition, but it didn't help, I suppose. But my childhood was very traumatic. There was a lot of abuse, there was abandonment, there was a massive amount of fear, there's some violence mixed in. All of that, created a very anxious, and I used to, even as a child, have what I now know are panic attacks, where I found it difficult to breathe. You know, it was awful, horrible feeling, become very withdrawn and hide away from the world. I remember that distinctly. And then the other thing was the genetic sort of link. And I only found this out in my late 20s. My real grandfather actually shot himself with a rifle in a hotel bedroom. I mean, the person whom I loved very much as my granddad wasn't really my granddad. He was my step-granddad, who married my grandmother, who was pregnant with my mother, via this man who'd committed suicide, my real grandfather. And I only found this out in my late 20s, so there's also a link there somewhere along the lines, I think, which I took into account. But I used to get these periods, particularly in my 20s, of hyper manic focus, where literally I would never run out of energy, and I could do and complete tasks without even thinking. I got so much done during these periods. And I built on the back of that. I saw it as a bit of a gift, really. I just saw it as part of my personality. I built successful businesses, nightclubs, pubs, restaurant, hotel. You know, it was a mega period during that, that time, where on the back of these episodes, I'll call them, so much was accomplished. I almost saw visions of what I needed to do. It was a hyper state, tiny amounts of sleep needed, but always inevitably, these would be followed by, without any warning at all, massive crash in mood, a dip, almost like the whole world closing in, where I couldn't see any good in anything, anywhere. The energy just leaked out of me. Everything was dark. And these were awful times. And that's when I really started medicating. When those dark times came, I medicated those with, I didn't want to feel them, and I wanted to give myself energy. So first of all, it was cocaine and alcohol that helped me through those. And then eventually I found opiates, which slow you down, but it also wrapped me up in cotton wool, and those addictions sort of followed on. And that darkness, when it went, like the storm ran out of rain, if you like, then it would be followed again by a period of hyper. There was very few normal flat periods. I was either up there or down there. Anyway, eventually I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, as you can guess. And I was put on strong medication, Effexor or venlafaxine, but a really high dose, 360 milligrams a day, because of my symptoms. Didn't do me any good at all, didn't agree with me, probably because I was drinking and using drugs on top of them. I mean, that didn't help matters along the way, obviously. But also they made me impotent. They were sapping the life out of me, made me like a zombie. I just didn't enjoy being on them at all. And medication, I just ditched them in the end and continued to live life, if you like, on the highs and lows, and self-medicating along the way. Obviously, if you follow the channel and you look back on the videos and my story and all the other videos I've made, that obviously turned into dependence, into opiates and alcohol, and led to where I am today. But since I've found sobriety now, good sobriety, this is the point I'm trying to make, I suppose, out of making this video for you today. I've got to manage these mental health doesn't suddenly heal itself, but what you can do, you can sort of optimize it. You can do things that you know are going to help it on a day-to-day basis, which I do every day. They're habits now. You've heard me talk about them 1,000 times before, but just to reiterate, they're things like prayer and meditation. They're things like clean diet, good supplementation. They're things, obviously, exercise plays a massive part, particularly with anxiety. I'll always exercise to anxiety, and weight training and all of these things. I'm being out in the daylight, getting the sun in my eyes, optimizing my sleep. I know if I'm doing all these things, then I'm going to minimize the severity. But then, and also I have to be really protective about other things. I have to recognize when these things are coming on, and this latest darkness that's come over me, and I'll describe it as darkness because it is, in the past would have led me into locking myself into a room and drinking and using drugs, not having the energy to even shower. That doesn't mean that goes away, because today I've had to force everything I've done through pain, if you like. I didn't want to shower, I didn't want to wash, I didn't want to exercise, I wanted to eat a load of shit, comfort myself. I wanted to just lie in bed and shut myself off from the world. And I've actually forced myself to make this video. And I've also recognised that I'm spending far too much time, if you like. Part of my recovery is giving to service, basically, and helping other people. I do lots of volunteering. Outside of these videos, it's, my purpose really now is to pass on the message to the still suffering addict and alcoholic, and help wherever I can. To do that, I'm a secretary with AA along the coast here. I also volunteer with homeless people, cooking and doing all this sort of stuff, like just because it helps me and it helps them, and it's a good thing to do. Doing these videos, obviously, and talking about it to people. All these things help me. But when I give too much of myself, this is what you have to realise with mental health. There's a tipping point where you need to separate yourself because you're consumed by everybody's. The darkness sort of seeps in, if you like. And I have to try and avoid news programmes and social media in general and negative comments and any negativity. So I have to separate myself from all that and just continue through this period of darkness, doing all the right things, following all my own advice, if you like, but talking to people regularly. That's the most important thing, which I'll continue to do, continue to go to meetings, continue to talk to people, continue to open up to people I know about my mental health until the storm passes and the rain runs out and I go back onto an even keel. Because the manic and the dark, they're not as intense as they used to be. But they're there and I still feel them. So I have to recognise when I'm going down a dark hole that I don't want to go down any deeper, which is why I'm coming off here for a while. So, but you're not on your own, and if you're feeling like this, please talk to somebody. And there's nothing wrong with taking medication if that suits you. I just choose not to do it because this suits me, so that's my choice. For those of you who choose medication, that's great. As long as it makes you feel better, that's what it's all about. So I hope that's been of some help for you. I'll see you when things are better. Please have a read of the link in the description. Help out if you can. Please subscribe to the channel. It just helps one or two more people see the videos. Carpe diem. Much love to you all. See you soon. Bye-bye.